Hello, my name's Avanel, and this is my channel, Unmasking. So, I'm going to try to be succinct here. By the way, my gloves, my disco ball, my various lights and things are things that help me talk about stuff that's very emotionally weighty. I don't even understand exactly why. Like sparkles, like lights, and a lot of the stuff is extremely difficult to talk about and even more difficult to stay on the point and be succinct. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna not fuss with my hair. Anyways, so my life has been a crazy string of being different, being quirky, being a little weird, whatever. Up until junior high, where then that was pop culture at the time, was totally like um, anxiety, depression pills, so I prescribed all these things, never ever helped until my adult life when I was finally diagnosed as ADHD and started receiving treatment for that. And then the light bulb went on in my life. And I started to see some things a little more clearly that were very difficult to see. And I started recognizing the things that basically, um, how do I put it? The things that I had been making peace with because I didn't understand what was going on in the room. Um, And so, because basically my era, a lot of us were taught like, you can't do that, you can't feel that way, you can't think that way, that's not what we do, this is what people do, oh, you got to be a hard worker, hard work ethic, that's just making excuses, we all have to do hard things, right? That kind of stuff was kind of the mantras that were going on, that were just what people did. That was the way the world seemed to work for a lot of people that way. Let's just put it that way. Um, So, with that being the values in place, what I did learn to do was, first of all, most of the time I would just stay silent in a lot of group settings. I had very few people that I felt comfortable talking to because a lot of times when I did talk, I would feel stupid because I would say something wrong. I would have misread the room. I didn't understand what people were talking about. I was made jokes at the wrong time or didn't catch a joke or didn't realize I was being kind of made the butt of a joke, that kind of stuff. Anyways, um, so anyway, sorry. Antidepressants, all that kind of stuff, whatever they could prescribe, that was the easiest. But when I was properly treated for the ADHD stuff, I started to see how destructive that time was because there were things at that time at junior high age when things were surfacing more that the mental health people in my life should have been able to really help identify some of these things better if they hadn't been looking for a pill. And at this point in my life, after seeing things more clearly and understanding what I hadn't understood, understanding the abuse I had allowed in my life with like workplaces, bad relationships, because I just always assumed that I was the problem. Because that's the other thing, when your feelings aren't allowed, when you say something and people say, well, everybody has to deal with that. But they don't understand that what I'm saying isn't necessarily what they experienced. That for me, for example, not example, but like, let's just say there's a ton of stuff for me that as I've gone through my process, I realized nobody has been experiencing what I'm experiencing in this situation that I know. Like, I look around a room and I've talked to people and I've talked to counselors, a lot of things. Like, when I'm saying this is a problem for me, like driving is really, I hate driving. It is so difficult for me and takes so much time ahead of time to like, okay, how am I going to, because a GPS thing only works a little bit for me because I get confused in the moment. And it's difficult for me to react. There's too many decisions to make. And anyways, so for people to be like, well, it's not a big deal. Yeah, nobody likes to drive, blah, blah, but it's not the same. Like, I get where I get my stomach twisted in knots and I get places in my heart. Like, it's not like normal experience with it. But you're taught to just tough it out, not, you know, well, you just got to do a little more. You got to work a little harder and blah, 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 blah. Right. So that being the era, I didn't know that whole time that was wrong, that I was bringing legitimate concerns about myself and my capabilities, and every one of them was being put into a kind of, well, we all gotta, you just gotta, and I couldn't do the gotta part. I couldn't get over that hump, right? And then I took a hiatus at one point where I gave up. People kept asking the impossible of me at schools and stuff. I dropped out of high school and had my little time doing wildness, right? Not like just smoking weed and like screwing around with drug stuff, not like parties. I can't party like it was like three people is a party for me, and more than that, and it's like not fun anymore. Um, anyways, then after all that, I'm trying to, because otherwise I'll just get into, I can't, sometimes that's the other thing that's super frustrating. Sometimes I can't shut up, and it's irritating to me like nails on a chalkboard, because I cannot get, the point is here, it's in my head, but getting it out is so hard. Um, in my adult life, after being treated for ADHD, as I said, the light went on and I started to recognize a lot of things, and especially in the workplace, things that are honestly abusive to people like me, where I don't understand what's going on in the room. And so I don't have the same opportunities as other people because it's not written down. Like I'm following the page, like the booklet, the giant booklet that I've learned, and I study and I access and I do all this time on it. But people are like doing things that aren't written down, and people don't like it when you're on task with that. And so like I keep thinking I'm doing the right things, and maybe I'm not, and I think I'm being received a certain way, and maybe I'm not. And anyways, so as time has gone on and some health things have gotten worse, I have realized after being at like the maximum ADHD treatment and some things, other things that have like health issues and dealing with doctors, because that was really the thing that made it clear, because I've had some physical issues that come up. And I realized that no matter how many times I'm talking to these doctors, I can't get them to hear me. And they're not understanding, and I need them to clarify. I give them information, they just go, got it, okay, bye. No, we're not concerned. And I'm like, I don't know if I use the right words. I don't understand why people are saying this or putting that on my record when I didn't even like, you didn't clarify with me. You didn't explain yourself. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what you're saying. Like, anyways, big ol' mess. Brought it to light that I'm not communicating well. And realizing that that's one of the stressors everywhere I go, why I don't actually go places, is when I go and I'm talking to people, it's different. Like people will say, oh, you just go here and you talk to this person and you do this thing, and then it all works out every time. I go there. That's not how it works for me. Talk to that person. We both get confused. I don't really know what they mean. I'm like trying, and it doesn't work out. And trying to navigate systems, because I was trying to be like, okay, well, I'm just going to find the help to, and it's not there. I've gone through a whole lot of this stuff, and it's like, no, there's not really, like, even just getting a social worker, like, no, that's for people who are homeless now, and that's it. And like, until you're at that point, like, anyways, so I have realized that my abilities, because when you're growing up in a time where it's like, you're not allowed to be this way, you're not allowed to feel this way, you're not, you learn to read the room and kind of mirror it. And that became my primary focus. And it's one that's very hard for me to turn off. What is everybody thinking and feeling? And am I being weird? Like, am I saying something weird? Am I doing the wrong thing? Am I off task? Like, I would not speak up in classrooms. I was always trying to like not be noticed because it was too embarrassing when I was. And like, so that has been, the masking has been really destructive, because it's kept me from actually getting help. And now I'm at a point where I need to be able to understand what's going on and what is really me underneath all of the things I've learned to mirror, because I need help and there's not help. And so I need to figure out how to peel back that mask so that the people that I'm talking to, medical professionals, whatever, can actually help me, because I don't even know how to say or communicate the things, but I've learned to say things that make them feel like they understand me somehow. It's weird. I honestly, I can't put my finger on it. It's been a while. I've been really trying to analyze it. Um, but so I am trying to be just me. And it's difficult also because um, I didn't start receiving the ADHD treatment and seeing these things and until I was an adult, and it feels like that's when I finally got to see a little bit of who I am, because I've been spending my whole life noticing who I'm not, learning how to say the things and kind of get by, like squeak by on things, you know, and most people would just label me as a little quirky, but there's a lot of things I can't do, I don't do. I always eat the same things, wear the same things, go the same places. I don't do things off my routine without it being extremely upsetting. I've had a few times now that I have been trying to uncover me where it's been weird, because it reminds me, I have feelings flashing back to like high school before all the shoving it down stuff started happening and just faking it more, because there was no help other than pills that didn't work. And, I did all kinds of therapy and all that kind of stuff. And it helped make peace with the abusive world I was in, I guess. But I don't know that that was a good thing. Um, Anyway, so I am intentionally learning to take off the masks and be me and not overwork for things. Like, for example, I go a place, somebody's like, okay, here's the office or whatever. I am not going to take the time that usually I have to take like hours ahead of time to like go through and drive in my mind first. Okay, then it's okay. Looking at street views and everything, because it's overwhelming for me in the moment. Um, or when people give vague information about medical stuff and they kind of reply something in an email that doesn't make sense, not going, okay, well, here's what I'm typing, because then I have to type it up like 5 times and like edit it, because it's very difficult for me to get to the point and you're only allowed a certain amount of character. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to keep doing that. I'm going to say, I don't understand, and send it back and put it back on other people, because I don't understand. I'm the one struggling, and I'm the one overworking for people who don't know how to slow down a little bit, for people who don't understand, for workplaces that keep you hanging on with this, feeling like I'm going to get a promotion soon. And then you see all these other people getting promoted. They're not doing the things that are written down on the papers, and they're not following. And you kind of go, well, this is what is important because this is what we're told, but what I'm seeing doesn't compute. And 4 years it took me to do the math on that. Like, oh, so what's written down in the actual official thing doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% true, because it just took a really long time for me to, because I believe what people say. I'm naive, I guess. I just trust that, okay, we mean this, we're going to do this, and it's not. And so unmasking and not overdoing it and not letting myself fall into the trying to behave my way to being, um, I guess, just stopping the behavioral management, because my behavior is what's making it so people can't understand what I'm really trying to communicate, is because I can make it look okay a little bit. And but it's not okay. And honestly, it's not even like a super choice at this point because after COVID and suddenly there's more people in my immediate contact, and there's just a lot of things that happened. I just don't have it in me to fake it anymore. Like my filter just like broke, and so I say things and I do things, me, and it's hard because other people are very uncomfortable with seeing that, and a lot of people kind of want to push me back in to the way that I was when I was all like put that mask back on. And so this is my channel to intentionally take it off, be real, and I'm going to shut up because it's way too long already. And I can make other videos later, Avenel, so just chill.